A very good evening, Chinmay sir, once again, and a very good evening to all the participants. I'm really happy to welcome you all to this GIBS IRE Talks. I'm Sandeep Bansali from the team GIBS Business School, Bangalore. We all are connected as a part of GIBS IRE Talks, which brings together the inspirational leaders related to innovation, research, and entrepreneurship. And today's IRE topic is family finance management. I'm sure this is one of the very, very favorite subject of mine, which it is on finance management. So I'm sure I'm going to have a wonderful session ahead. And today's keynote speaker is Mr. Chinmay Ananda, who is from Australia. So we welcome you, sir. And thank you so much for accepting our invitation. I understand you were really busy, but still you made it up. Thank you so much for that.
All good. Thank you. Thank you for having me, Sandeep. Good evening.
Thank you so much, sir. And I welcome all the participants once again to this IRE Talks on behalf of GIBS Business School family. Please allow me to share a few words about GIBS before we begin. GIBS Business School is a place where talents are nurtured, ambitions cherished, ideas shared, and dreams fulfilled. GIBS Business School is a part of Govt Educational Trust. GIBS provides an AICTE approved PGDM program and BBA from Bangalore University. So majorly we are only into management education. And we are really delighted to announce that recently GIBS has been ranked among the 5th best emerging B school in India and the 9th best B school in Karnataka for the BBA placements as well. So GIBS has designed Industry 4.0 curriculum and introduced a number of unique programs for GIBS students, with a practical education being the main focus in order to prepare its students for success. It has given us great, immense pleasure to announce that last week GIBS has been chosen as India's top prestigious higher education and university award 22-23 under the category of 50 best private B schools by Education Today, and by Business India, by Outlook we have been ranked as a business school of the South. And I would like to again have a warm greetings to Chinmay sir for today's IRE Talks as a keynote speaker, and it's my privilege to introduce you to the August audience. Mr. Chinmay has trained and consulted over 7,000 plus business owners and non-financial managers globally on the subject of business finance in Australia, India, China, and Indonesia. His training programs are accredited by ICMA, that is an Institute of Certified Management Accountants, Australia. Mr. Chinmay has developed a finance program that are taught to MBA students in Australia. He teaches the same to the Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology, that is RMIT, Torrens University, Ducera Global School of Business, and Insight Academy of Entrepreneurship. Mr. Chinmay has served as a National Treasurer of Professional Speakers Australia from 2018 to 21, and he's an active Rotarian. So sir has also been an author for quite some time now. He has authored a couple of books. And I love the way you mentioned it, sir. It's not fundamental, it's fundamental of the financial statements and the bottom line. So we are really honored to have you amongst us, sir. Thank you so much for joining in. And one last thing I would like to say, sir would be asking few of the questions. So I request all the audience to be a little quick on your keypads, on your laptops, so that you can just ping in your responses in the Q&A section. And any which way, if you have any doubts and queries, you can put it in the Q&A section so that we can take it at the end of the session. Sir, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sandeep, for that warm introduction and also giving me an understanding and overview of what GIBS is doing. And then congratulations for the recent award. Hats off to your management and everyone who's involved. It is great to see we have got close to 120 attendees. I'm sure more might join along the way. Just to make sure my audio video is working, participants, I would be requesting you to quickly type in the Q&A section, in the answer section, yes, if the audio and the video at your end is all right. Because as Sandeep said, I would love to keep it interactive. So I'll be asking questions, and if you could type in your answers, again, short 1 or 2 word answers, that would be great. So Sandeep, I'm just making sure, should I be looking at it in the open section or in the answered section?
We have something called as Q&A.
Yes, I've opened that. In that there is
in the open section.
In the open section. Okay. Oh, great. Yes. Okay. Sure.
A lot of them, sir.
Anirudh, Denver. Okay, it's clear. Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for confirming the same. Now, I'll not be sharing my screen. Pretty much everything will appear in this window. So if it is too small for you, maybe you can click and pin the window. Okay, great. Let's get started because we have got now less than 55 minutes to complete what I had in mind with regards to family finance management. Let me quickly show you an image. Not sure if you can see where I am. This was pretty much the last day of my MBA. We had submitted the final project report, and a good friend of mine, Frankie, was pretty much clicking those days. This is how we were taking selfie. You know, you had the camera on that particular stand, and he used to click with a remote. If you're wondering where I am, that is where I am. Can you quickly take a guess? Which year was this? When was this? I'll give you a hint. It is after 2000. Again, quickly type it in the chat box, in the Q&A, sorry. When do you think this image was over? Boy, oh boy, Sukumaran, you're very close. In fact, 2007, I enrolled. 2008, I graduated. So this was taken first week of August in 2008. Now, I'm sure most of you have done some kind of a project, or you will be doing some kind of a project as students. And some of you have graduated. I'm sure you would have done some group projects. Even in MBA, while I was doing, there was a group project, and I was working with a couple of my other colleagues, my friends, to make sure that now I don't reveal their identity. Let us call them Santa and Banta. Now, as a group, once we prepare pretty much the project report, it needs to be printed, right? So there is the printing expense. So each of us will chip in. Now I'm going to pay so much, we'll divide the task and we'll get it printed. And with the calculation we did, color print, for some reason now as students, we believe that if we present a colorful report, the chances of getting more marks is high. But now that I'm on the other side, where I teach at business schools, no, it's more about the content that we look at, not just the presentation of it. Anyway, we worked out, let's say we will give a nice binding, colorful report, and it came down to $150 among three of us. So it would be fair if each of us pitched in $50. Immediately, now I said, you know what, I know on my way to home, there is this printing shop, and I can give them the copy and they will have it ready by tomorrow morning. Banta did not have money. He said, Chinmay, you know what, why don't you give the cash to me? I will swipe my credit card. And we looked at Santa, and Santa was like, you know what, I don't have the money on me. I'll have to go to the bank and withdraw the money. Now, somewhere I felt probably he may not really have the money, and he's giving an excuse. Probably he might borrow and then give it to us later. So I was considerate and I asked Santa, is everything all right? Because I know he used to do a lot of part-time job, because even I used to do a part-time job back then. So I said, Santa, is it okay if you go to a nearby ATM and withdraw $50? He said, no, I don't have any credit card or debit card on me. I was like, again, a bit suspicious. Now, those days, having credit and debit card was like a fancy thing. And then he said he doesn't have one. Then I said, Santa, please don't take any offense. But if you don't have the money, it's all right. I can lend it. You can give it to me later. He said, no. I've got a lot of money. I've got a few hundreds, in fact, close to $1,000 in my bank account. But in that bank account, I don't have a debit or credit card. I have to transfer from that bank account to my other spending account, and then I have to pay you. I was thinking, why on earth are you complicating things? And then Santa said, Chinmay, you know what? This is one piece of advice my father gave before. Now we are all international students. Now we went to Australia. Before coming here to Australia, this is one piece of advice my father said. If you don't save, if you don't get into the habit of saving, then the chances of you holding money and then investing somewhere will be very minimal. So make sure you have a separate account for saving, for spending, so on and so forth. Then I got curious to understand how he goes about spending, and he is he's from Israel, so he's a Jew. Pretty much, they say it's in their blood. So I wanted to learn more, and I started picking his brain to understand how he goes about managing his finances. That's when I started developing interest about personal finance. And I'm sure most of you know who this great investor is. Can someone quickly type it in the chat box? Who do you think this gentleman is? One of the best investors the world has ever seen and known. Yes, it is Mr. Warren Buffett. He beautifully said,
Check, sir, am I audible? Chinmay, sir, am I audible? Chinmay, sir, am I audible? I think there would have been just a connectivity issue. Just allow them to rejoin.
Just 2 minutes, Sandeep sir. There is.
Thank you. By the time Sir joins him, just want to understand how many of you have small or big saving at this point of time. Can you just raise your hands? Let's see how many hands being raised. So we will see how many. Wow, that's nice. There are a lot of participants who have been raising their hands. So I hope a lot of people, good, Mr. Ganesh, Pallavi, Prasad, Hemant, we have Manish, Sonu, Anand Tiwari. Oh my gosh, the list is really going very fast. We have Akshay, we have Aditya. So I hope everybody has a lot of, I would say they've just started initiated the process of investments. So what do you think? Which is the best form of investment? What do you think? Which is, you can just put it in the Q&A. What do you think? Is the mutual fund, FD, insurance, LIC? I mean, what do you think gonna be your preferred choice of investment? Stock market. Sukumaran, I must say you're very quick. That's really nice. Abhishek says mutual funds. That's nice. Anand says shares. Okay. Lending money. Stanpreet Singh says lending money for interest and SIP. Okay. That's nice. Sonu says mutual fund and stock market. Saurav says mutual funds. That's nice. Any other options? Nobody from the FD. Okay, trading. Pallavi says it's trading. Fixed deposit. Yes, we have Pragya who says fixed deposit. That's nice answer. Abhishek Sharma who says forex can also be one of the choice. Okay. So insurance. Rimsha, Imra. Okay, great. I think sir have joined us back.
check, is it better? Are we
Yes,
back?
yes, sir. It is better. I just happened to interact a bit with the audience and I said, like, what are the options available for investment?
Oh, awesome. Thank you. Thank you for
So they were just into it. Yes, sir. Over to you, sir, please.
engaged. Not sure what happened. All of a sudden, Zoom just crashed at my end, even though I've got a full version of Zoom. Anyway, it is what it is. Show has to go on. Now, coming back to what we were discussing, yes, you all said it's Mr. Warren Buffett, and he said, don't save what is left after spending, spend what is left after saving. Now, Sandeep, I just want to make sure my video is pinned.
It's pinned.
It's on spotlight mode, is it?
Oh, yes, it's pinned.
Great. Okay, good to know. Just ensuring it is even at my end. Okay. So this is where I started understanding more about why is that, in spite of the fact most of the people know they have got so much of money, still they end up trading time for making more and more money. So that's where I started getting my head around finance. In fact, after doing my MBA, I came back to India and I started a lot of businesses, in fact, 6 businesses, and failed in all of them. Now, nothing against MBA, nothing against the university where I graduated. In fact, I teach at the university today on the subject finance. It was all because of my ignorance. Because I thought I'm an engineer. Yes, I've done MBA in entrepreneurship. But when it comes to finance, it's for some accountant, it's for some finance person. Because I thought I'm a non-finance person. And that is exactly what my first mentor said is the issue, and he made me think otherwise. He said, Chinmay, do yourself a favor, educate yourself on the subject finance, because finance is the root of how business makes money. And language of business is numbers, and you do not know how to speak that language. Anyway, long story short, I did not go to any university or college to understand finance and accounting and commerce. It was all about me picking the brain of the best accountants, management accountants, chartered accountants, financial gurus, CFOs for my own understanding. And I saw that, end of the day, whether it is personal finance, business finance, corporate finance, doesn't matter how complicated or what kind of jargon we want to throw at it, it's always simple, because there are only 2 rules when it comes to business, or there are only 2 rules even when it comes to personal finance. Rule number 1, always make sure you are making more money than you're spending. That's rule number 1. Rule number 2, never forget rule 1, as simple as that. Earn more, spend less. So let us understand a little bit the basics, the difference between what is finance, what is accounting, by comparing it with a game which we Indians love, which is cricket. And there's a game played between India and Bangladesh. Looks like India is going to win easily, but again, we never know. Mr. Sandeep was mentioning that about my first book, where I've emphasized fun in fundamentals. So that's where I like to educate people on the subject finance by bringing some element of fun. Now, in the game of cricket, when the bowler is bowling, when the batsman is scoring runs, and action is happening on the field, there is someone outside the field who is recording it, who is scoring, and we call that person as a scorer. Whether it is business or whether it is personal finance, there are only 4 things that can happen, only 4 things. And in this particular session, I'll be reminding these 4 things again and again, because these are the only 4 types of financial transactions that can happen in any business or in personal life. Ready? Money comes in, money goes out, money is supposed to come in, money is supposed to go out. Full stop, period. That's it. Permutations and combinations of these 4 financial transactions is what we see on financial reports. You call it financial statements, which we are expected to analyze, read, understand, evaluate. In business, the person who records these financial transactions, they are known as, many times people say accountants, but the technical word is bookkeeper. They're keeping the books. And this itself is a big issue in many businesses. Personal finance, forget it, because we think everything is here and we know exactly what's happening, how much I've got in my savings account, or what's my credit limits, so on and so forth. We think it's here, but unfortunately, that is the biggest mistake we do. Because if the bookkeeper is not keeping the books, if the scorer is not scoring the runs properly, will we know who is winning or losing? So same thing, if we do not know our exact finances, how will we know how much we are saving or how much profit we are making? Back to cricket, there is someone called as an umpire. What is the role of an umpire? To make sure the players abide by the rules of the game and there's a fair game played. This role, to a great extent in business, also in personal finance, when we are filing our IT, is done by accountant count. They count the financial transactions and they ensure that we abide by the regulations set by the taxation office, so that all of a sudden, surprise, surprise, knock, knock, I'm an IT or income tax officer. We don't want that situation to happen. Now, have you ever seen any cricketer, bowler or batsman asking an umpire, Hey, how should I go about bowling the next ball? Or a batsman asking the umpire, should I take a single or should I hit a four? Never. Then why is that we think when it comes to making these financial decisions, it is the responsibility of some accountant or some financial expert or my father or my husband or someone in the family? This is where we have to understand finance is not accounting and accounting is not finance. Finance starts when accounting ends. Let me elaborate more on that. Now, before the bowler bowls, before the batsman decides whether he should hit a single or a four or a six, how will they go about deciding should I play aggressively or defensively? They decide even before taking an action based on the score, which is numbers, based on time, which is again numbers, because they want to make sure their decision is going to help them win the game. Same thing, whether it is business or personal finance, the decisions that we are making, is it helping us to make profit? Is it helping us to save? So this is where we need to understand. And here is my first tip for today. I'll be sharing 3 of them. Non-finance person is a myth. Non-finance manager is a myth. Non-finance business owner is a myth. We are all finance people because the decisions we make either in business or in personal life is going to impact the bottom line. Now, someone, Raju, has typed in saying, can you tell me some specific suggestions for a good budget management? We will look into that, Rajiv. Now, I'm not in a rush, so we have kept good 10 to 15 minutes at the end of the session for a Q&A, so I'll make sure that I'll be answering that question. Now, all we are doing, whether in life or in business, is I'm here, I want to go there. Let's say morning 8 o'clock, I'm here at home. 9 o'clock, I would like to go there to my college or to my office. The question is how? Will I take my ride or using my bike? Will I catch a Ola or public transport? So same thing, even in a business or in personal finance. I am here, I would like to go there. Let's say I'm earning 50,000 rupees a month. I would like to go there by the end of next year where I'm earning 60 or 70 or 80,000. In business, we call it PBT, profit before tax. From personal finance perspective, it's about savings, because please remember, in business, it is not just about turnover. It is more about leftover. In personal finance, it is not how much you make. It is more about how much you keep. Pretty much that is exactly what Mr. Warren Buffett said. Saving and then spending, not the other way around. So for that, we need to know, why are we saving whatever we are saving? So there are three things that we would like to know and we should know to a great extent in order to have good, effective financial management. One is to know, where are we as of now? How much am I saving on a month-on-month basis? How much savings have I got? Second thing is, okay, why am I saving only this much or whatever I'm saving, whether it is 10,000 or 20,000 or 50,000 or 1 lakh rupees? And the third thing is, the decisions I made yesterday, the decisions I made today, the decisions I will be making tomorrow, whether to invest somewhere, as Rajiv is asking, how to budget, good budget. So which means budget is nothing but pretty much telling your money where to go rather than wondering where it went. So the decisions I made yesterday, today, and planning to make tomorrow, will it help me to go from here to there or here to somewhere else? And for that, we need to understand numbers. Many a times, this is how an organization will look like, even a family will look like. Everyone is rowing the boat and doing things their own way. But it is only by coming onto the same page, we can move towards where we exactly want to go. And for that, we need to speak the language of business, which is numbers. Knowingly or unknowingly, every single day, these are the three main questions that we are answering, whether if we are in business or even in our personal finance. The very first question is, where will I get the money from? Where will I borrow or ask or raise money? Will I ask my parents? Will I ask my friend? Will I borrow money from the bank? If I am running a startup, then will I raise funds from an investor? Okay, now that let's say we have got the money, what will I do with that money? Will I invest or will I spend? Well, even I was a student. I didn't know anything about investing. So it was all about spending. We look into it. And then let's say we happen to invest and there is some kind of a profit or a saving. So what are we going to do with the profit or saving? Will I just party with it, or will I further reinvest? And this is where again financial discipline will come into picture. I'm sure most of you might go, wow, I hope you are going to say that because that will boost my ego. So this is my bike, Royal Enfield Bullet, which I purchased after coming back from Australia in 2008. In 2009, I picked it up in a police auction. No, they say Gujri condition, not in a running condition, for 18,000 rupees. And I spent the next 1.5, almost 2 years getting it completely assembled, getting the original parts from Delhi and Hyderabad. Of course, I didn't have much money to invest. So every month, 2,000 or 3,000 rupees savings, and I was investing. And finally, I spent close to 1,20,000 or all put together 1.5 lakhs on this particular bike. I rolled it out and immediately someone offered me 1,80,000. I'm like, oh boy, already I'm going to make profit, but I didn't want to sell it because it was more of, we men and our ego. So I wanted to show off. Now, of course, those days I didn't know much about investing. And yeah, this is me showing off and having posts on Facebook saying that, hey, here's a cool bike, check it out. So I spent 1,50,000 on this. If only someone has suggested, Chinmay, you know what? Yes, you have bought this Royal Enfield bike, but do you know who owns Royal Enfield? It's a company called IRE Motors. So in 2009, rather than spending between 9 and 10, spending 1.5 lakh rupees on this, if at all I had invested it in IRE Motor share, which was 30 rupees, close to 30 rupees back in 2009. Do you know how much it would be worth almost 9-10 years down the line? 3,000 rupees per share. So that 1.5 lakhs would have become 1.5 crores. This is the difference between spending money and investing money. So my second tip for the day is invest in performing assets. And we'll look into what performing assets is all about. So for that, I would like to emphasize once again, there are only 4 types of financial transactions. Money comes in, money goes out, money is supposed to come in, money is supposed to go out. And my expertise is to help people get on top of these 4 financial transactions. Now, I keep telling people, I'm not going to teach you how to make business decisions. I'm not going to tell you personally where you should invest because I'm part of an angel investor group. We invest in startups. I'm also part of venture capital fund. And I've got group of investors, and many of them say, Chinmay, you tell me where to invest, I'll invest. I'm like, really, I don't want to take that path. I want to empower you. I want to educate you with regards to how to go about investing, because finance is a common sense subject. Well, unfortunately, common sense is not very common, but I keep reminding people. Anyway, coming back to what I was saying, let us make sure from today onwards, we treat our family finances separately from the family members. So here, let's say on that side of our family members, and this is family finances. So just treat this as a separate entity. Now look at your family house, the financials as a separate entity, as an outsider. Now this family finances, this family house is going to have assets. And I'm sure if I ask you what kind of assets most of the family are going to have, you will say they will have a house, they will have a car, they will have a bike, they will have jewelries, they will have all these equipments, fridge, washing machine, TV, your mobile phones, everything. To purchase all of this, we need money. But the question is, where will that money come from? Either that money will come from insiders or outsiders. Insiders are, again, the family members. And from where will the family member be giving that money? Either from their income or from their savings. When we say outsiders, we are borrowing it. Either we are borrowing it from a friend or from a third-party person, unsecured loan, or we might be borrowing even from a bank. To purchase these things, we need money, and money will either come from insiders or outsiders. Now, the question is, as I mentioned, the three main questions we asked: where will we get the money from? How much from insiders? How much from outsiders? Now, let's say we have got some savings. Let's say we have got regular income. Let's say we have got, I'm sure you would have received a phone call randomly saying that, hey, sir, you're eligible for 20,000, 50,000 credit. And I'm like, no, thank you. So they'll be enticing you saying that you're eligible for that. So there are people ready to give you loan because that is how they make money. In fact, I keep telling people, if I know the right people, if I've got that influence, if I can pull all the strings together, I would love to open a bank. Best business model in the world. Take money from the same people at low interest, give it to the same people at high interest. But anyway, it's a topic for some other day. So using that money, we will purchase those items. And usually what do we call these items as? We call them as assets. Now, where else do you think we spend money? A typical household, where else do you think they'll be spending money? Meanwhile, Pragya has typed in, why is generating revenue problematic to a sole proprietorship? Okay, I'll answer that later, Pragya. Shanti Kumari has typed in, what is something about cost control? Okay, we'll get into it. In fact, in the upcoming slide is all about that, Shanti Kumari. Now, meanwhile, what are some of those things that we spend money on? Yes, we spend money to purchase jewelries. We might spend money to buy those automobiles, the white gadgets, the house, and so on and so forth. Where else do we regularly spend money? Probably, I think, as Mr. Sandeep said, it might take some time for you to type in. Yes, education, electronics, nice. Oh, okay. So I was about to say nice interactive session. Thanks for that, Devjeet. I'm sure someone would also add another E, which starts with entertainment, food, all the subscription on the apps, whether it is Netflix or Amazon Prime or so on and so forth. So remember, that is money coming in. Whether money is coming in from insiders or outsiders, the common thing is money comes in. So when money comes in, either it comes in from insiders or outsiders. And when money goes out, either it becomes an expense or it creates an asset. These are the two things that's going to happen when money goes out. Either it is going to become an expense or it's going to create an asset. Now, you might say, Chinmay, you kind of invested in assets, right? In that particular bike? Yes. But again, it was a non-performing asset. It was a depreciating asset. Let me quickly elaborate on that. So we have assets. Mainly, it gets categorized as performing assets, non-performing assets, and something I call it as non-essential assets. What are performing assets? You buy a property. So almost, I can say from personal finance perspective, appreciating assets are performing assets. Any asset that we are not utilizing and it depreciates over a period of time, you can call it as a non-performing asset. Non-essential, well, boy, oh boy, these are all things that we are tempted to buy online. And the whole online industry is working on this, trying to understand the psychology. In fact, they hire psychologists to make sure that mindlessly we go on doing this. And then suddenly some ice cream pops up, some food pops up, saying that, hey, Christmas sale, get this phone, get this, get that. And then we buy something that is not even essential. Again, the question is, how much of the assets that we have are performing and non-performing? And this is where we need to measure. I hope that you can see some of the words. If not, I will tell you what they are. Again, it goes back to those 4 types of financial transactions. Money comes in, money goes out, money is supposed to come in, money is supposed to go out. Let's focus on the first 2, money coming in and money going out. What happens, or when does money come into the business, or when does money come into your family account? Either it will come in form of incomes or it will come in form of borrowings, which becomes liabilities. So first, what I would suggest is, now I'll be happy to share a format of it. I'll share a quick link where if you send me your email, I'll send the format of it, or else you can quickly scribble on the notepad if you have it handy. First, start with this section, incomes. Incomes, money comes in. How is money coming in to your family account? Is it by someone trading their time for money, which means are you working for a business as an employer? There's nothing right or wrong about being an employer working Monday to Friday or Monday to Saturday, 9 to 5 or 9 to 6. Because I've seen some short videos, people giving pep talks. What's wrong with you working Monday to Friday, 9 to 5? I'm like, what's wrong with that? You have educated yourself. You want to be there, you be there. Because being an entrepreneur is a completely different ball game altogether. So don't get tempted and say that even I want to be an entrepreneur. It's a cool thing. Don't, with that approach, don't become an entrepreneur. Become an entrepreneur if you know that you have a solution for a problem that the market needs it to be solved badly. Someone asked this question, I think Pragya, why is generating revenue problematic for sole proprietor? It is a problem simply because the solution that the sole proprietor is offering, most people don't want that solution. In fact, most people, they don't even have a problem in the first place, or they're comfortable with the problem. So if you have a solution in form of a product or a service, then decide to become an entrepreneur. Anyway, coming back to this, how is money coming in form of incomes? Is it through salary? Is it through, you have an asset like you have rented out a place, rental income? You have some kind of an investment where it is giving you some kind of a dividends, put it here, incomes. Now, money that you get from your parents is not an income. I'm sorry. Please treat it as a liability. Because that is a borrowing. This is where I said, treat yourself separately, treat your family members separately, and treat your family finances separately. Now, someone said money is spent on education. Now, you might have taken educational loan. That's a liability. Put it there. Oh, I asked my father for a bike. How much your father spent? 80,000, 90,000, 1 lakh. Oh, but probably 60,000 was bike loan, vehicle loan, liability. Well, we might have purchased a house. You might have taken a home loan, liability. You might have personal loan. I hope that you don't have at this stage, unless until you know why you have borrowed it, liability. You have swiped your credit card, liability. And how much interest are you paying? Sometimes people are like, hey, you know what, on credit card, first 45 days is free. Okay, great, boss. But put your hand on your heart and tell me that within 45 days, you're making sure that you're paying all the whatever dues. If not, the interest might be 14, 15, 20, 25%. So first know all the incomes and then all the liabilities. Now, what happens when money goes up? Either it becomes an expense or creates an asset. Let's start with asset. What type of assets do you have? Do you have, like me, that bullet? Okay, right? Bullet, Royal Enfield bullet. But is it an appreciating asset or a depreciating asset? Well, these days I'm telling people, hey, you know what? It's kind of an appreciating asset because just last year it became 50 years. It's a 1971 model. It's 50 years, so it has got that vintage value. Well, a small justification, but still, end of the day, show me the money, boss. So depreciation, is it a depreciating asset or an appreciating asset? So you know your cars, your bikes, all the vehicles, the laptops, all the fancy gadgets, depreciating. House, to a great extent, is depreciating, but the property is appreciating. So this is where you need to understand how you're going to accordingly invest. And then go to that section, expenses, very critical. What I would suggest is, these days, most of us, we make payment using one of those Paytm or PhonePe or Google Pay or via bank transfer. So download your bank statement for the last 1 month. Go through each and every line item and accordingly categorize. The expense that you spent, the money that went out from your bank account, was it a fixed expense? Was it a variable expense? Was it a miscellaneous expense? What's the difference? Fixed expenses are expenses that will remain fixed. Like if you're in a hostel or a PG, then you will be paying rent. That's fixed. That's fixed expense. You'll have to pay your regular utility bills, fixed expense. Probably you will be topping up your mobile phone for 500 rupees a month or whatever it is, fixed expense. Variable expense is something that varies. During lockdown, we were all stuck at home. We were not traveling. So travel, variable expense. Food that we eat probably for lunch, it can be a variable expense. So that varies. And then miscellaneous expense. Going for a movie, entertainment, buying a gift for someone or buying a gift for us, binge shopping, miscellaneous expense. Then go back another 2 more months, balance, bank statement, populate. Last 6 months, populate. Last 12 months, populate. If there is one thing that I would like you to take it as an activity and sincerely do it, please do at least only that part. Dividing your expenses into fixed, variable, and miscellaneous, and come up with a number in form of ratio. Out of 100% of your expenses, how much percentage is fixed, variable, miscellaneous? Is it 30, 30, 40? Is it 40, 20, 40? Is it 20, 20, 60? That will tell a lot about our spending habit. And again, you don't need me or any financial consultant or an expert to say that, hey, you're not spending too much on this, I'd rather do it on this. So someone asked me that question. Good budget management. As I said, budget is pretty much telling your money where to go rather than where it went. And for that, we need to understand how the cash money we are spending and where it is flowing. So the third tip for today that I would like to share is know your numbers. Now, how long can you watch a cricket game? Now there is Football World Cup finals on Sunday evening. How long can you watch a football game or any sport without knowing the score? Then how long do you want to keep working and earning and thinking that you're saving money and you have this dream of being financially independent without knowing numbers? So you have to know your numbers. I would like to quote this great man, my hero, my guru, Swami Vivekananda. He beautifully said, education is the manifestation of perfection already in a person. So it's already there. That knowledge, that information, it's already there. It's all about how can you manifest. And what GIBS, Global Institute of Business Studies, is trying to do through these webinars is they're trying to create an ecosystem, an environment, so that you start realizing, yes, finance is simple. I'm not saying it's easy, it's simple. And finance is a common sense subject. Well, as I said, it's not very common. And that is what I'm here to remind you. And this is what education is all about. You know to a great extent what you should be doing, but somewhere that discipline is something that we are lacking. And this is where we need to ensure we have these disciplines along the way. So I would like to mention that this is my second book that I published recently called The Bottom Line. Now, I don't teach or I don't get into personal finance. That's not my expertise, because I find business finance to be much simple compared to personal finance, because we human beings, we make decisions emotionally and we justify using logic. And it is very difficult to bring in logic in personal finance. It is very difficult even to my mother to say that, Ma, why one more golden chain for your grandson or your granddaughter? She's like, no, I have to do it. I've bought it one for him, I have to bought one for her. So emotional rules. So that's why now. Whereas in business, I can ask, why one more investment in this particular thing? Then logic to a great extent will play a role. So it's on Amazon. In case if you're interested, you can buy it. Now, as I said, I would like to give you access to one of my online program. It has got 20 videos, 75 minutes all put together. This is about the gist of profit and loss, balance sheet, whatever we discussed, it's kind of elaborated so that you understand the why behind it. And at the same time, if you would like to get access to the template that I shared, then here is the link. I hope, I'm not sure how I can type it in the chat box. Maybe Can I do that, Mr. Sleep, somewhere? Okay, if not, this is the bit.ly link. It will take you to a simple Google form. And
we can always share it in the email. And which way post this, will be sharing the certificate. So in the same mail, we can share the link.
Awesome, awesome, too easy. So in that case, I can ask my team to give you access to this online program for free, and at the same time, the format of that particular personal finance tracking sheet. So let me quickly sum up. With regards to what we discussed, the very critical thing is to make sure where we are and where we want to go. So end of next calendar year, 12 months from now, how much should I be saving and what will I do with it? So for that, you need to understand, where are you as of now? Why are you still here? And then you figure out the how. How will I do it? Will I reduce my fixed expenses to a little bit? Will I drastically reduce my miscellaneous expenses? Will I go and find a part-time job? Or will I borrow something and I invest so that it is going to give me more returns? You'll have to figure it out. And of course, best thing is to hang around with people who have already been there so that you can go there much easier. I wouldn't say easier, but with some clarity. So where are you right now? From savings perspective, why are you still saving or not at all saving? And then how can you go from here to there? And for all that, you need to know your numbers. And remember, make sure and you clearly understand, you tell every family member saying that we are all finance people, because very few people might be earning, but everyone is spending. And again, it's not a mistake. No, that is what we do. We have to survive. So pretty much every single day, there is some money that we are spending. So we need to be more responsible. So we are all finance people. Non-finance person is a myth. The second tip is, to a great extent, try to invest, not spend, invest in performing assets. And the last thing is, know your numbers. Well, we still have another 12 more minutes. I'll be more than happy to take any questions. Well, I can see that quite a few of you have already typed in. So, Mr. Sandeep, shall I start with the questions that they have typed in?
Yes, sir. It would be really great. If you want, I can just read it out for you. So he says, Rajiv is asking, hello, sir, can you tell me some specific suggestions for good budget management? What you just now, I think you've explained already.
Yes. So pretty much, Raju, again, to emphasize more on that, when you're saying, see, budget is nothing but, in simple words, it's a business plan or it's a personal financial plan expressed in numbers. As I've already mentioned, budget is pretty much telling your money where to go rather than wondering where it went. So pretty much knowing, I'm here, I want to go there. So I want to save so much or I want to earn so much. Great. How are you going to go there? That's where you accordingly budget. I think Shanti Kumari has typed in saying, what is something about cost control for a middle class family? Well, I have already mentioned about it because each family is different. Each family will have its own way of spending things. And whether we like it or not, there are many things that are not in our control. And unfortunately, in the last couple of years, we have seen how health has become such a big challenge. And one small health crisis can really shake the family finances to a great extent and might get us into debt. So for that, we need to have plan B and plan C. And for that, you need to know your numbers. Gagan has typed in, my parents feel that, oops, where did it go? Gagan, my parents feel that I'm not mature for financial advice. How do I contribute? Well, you know what, even today, even my parents feel the same, but after I've written a couple of books, they feel that I'm to an extent matured. So Gagan, it's a thing, universal thing. Every parent thinks that their son or daughter doesn't know and they're not matured enough for any financial advice. This is where, if you ask them in the first place, Gagan, I hope that, or I'm not sure if you know, how much is the electricity bill of your house? How much is the gas, that cylinder that you pay, and how many months will it be used? Water bill. So start with that. As I said, track those finances, fixed, variable, miscellaneous. And when you start asking those questions, immediately parents are like, ooh, you know what, even I didn't take a very serious note on that. That's how they will slowly start realizing maybe something has happened to Gagan. I think we should be interacting more in this particular regard. Yesh has typed in saying, I'm pursuing higher education, earning 25,000 per month. Great, doing a part-time job. Hats off to you, Yash. What is the best platform where I can invest my savings? You know what, Yash? I don't give any personal advice. I'm not a financial advisor or a financial planner. But one suggestion that I can give is don't put all eggs in one basket. In that 25,000, after deducting the expenses, or pretty much saying this much I want to save, and with whatever limited money you have and you ensure you spend, that savings, don't put all eggs in one basket. So don't invest everything in a share market, or don't put everything in Bitcoin. Someone said it's going to happen. Make sure you diversify. Now, this is where now you can find a number of videos, or you can meet people little bit in a fixed deposit, maybe a little bit in gold, maybe a little bit in real estate. There is fractional investment, a lot of schemes, little bit in SIP, mutual funds. If you know how to play in the share market, maybe a little bit over there. Well, with that kind of an investment, these days, there's a bit of crowdfunding that you can do in startups. So maybe a little bit over there. Diversify. And again, start with something that you're already familiar with. There will be people who would be investing and they'll be making a good return. When I say good return, at least 1% a month, which is 12% per annum, which is more than the fixed deposit. So start with something that you're familiar with, something that you can trust someone with. Don't take the gambler's approach, like what we see in James Bond movie. In that casino royal, like he says, all in. Well, he happens to win because he's the hero. That is how it's been directed. But please don't take that kind of an approach. Always have plan B and plan C. And let me tell you, one of the best lessons that I learned from my mentor when I failed in those 6 businesses and I had a plan for the 7th business. I needed nearly 20 lakh rupees. So I approached my father, who is the ATM in the house. Now my father now is a very wise man, which I realized very late. He started his own industry 42 years back. He's still very active. We have our own family business in manufacturing carton boxes. So he knew I wouldn't listen to him. Of course, now he's like, Chinmay, you're immature, but he didn't say that. Rather, he said, why don't you talk to one of my friend who is also an industrialist and a business consultant? So immediately I made an appointment. I went and met my father's friend and said, sir, thank you so much for meeting me in such short notice. Presented the business plan. In MBA, we know how to prepare business plans, right? Blue line, yellow line, underline, colorful reports, everything. Sales is always going up like this. In one breath, I explained what the idea was all about. And he said, Chinmay, would you like to have a glass of water? I said, no, I would like to have 20 lakh rupees. He said, Chinmay, relax, head on your shoulders, feet on the ground. And he slowly pulled a notepad and took a pen and he wrote 1 + 1 equals. I knew it was a tricky question, but I didn't want to think too hard. And I said, sir, 1 + 1 = 2. He said, no. So let me ask you once again, how much is 1 + 1? And I went, 1 + 1 is Roman 2. He said, no. Chinmay, I would like you to think as an entrepreneur. I would like you to think as a business owner. How much is 1 + 1? And me being me those days in my mid-20s, I knew everything, right? I knew everything because Professor Google was in my pocket. So I said, sir, 1 + 1 is definitely equal to 2. He said, the day you realize 1 + 1 is never equal to 2, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, that is the day you can consider yourself to be slightly matured in business. Point he was trying to emphasize was, I went with a beautiful business plan and I said, I'm going to sell this, I'm going to buy this raw materials, I'm going to produce this, I'm going to market it, people are going to buy, I'll make so much of profit. 1 + 1 = 2. But what he said is, in reality, 1 + 1 can be 1, can be 1.1, can be 1.5, can be -1, can be 3. And this is all about going from here to there. And with the investments, most of the time we take the gambler's approach. We're like, no. Someone has said, if I invest in this Bitcoin, I'm going to make so much of money because that person has made money. I've saw this video. Or someone said, invest in this particular share market, invest in that, invest in this. And we are hoping that 1 + 1 will be 100. And I'm sure you're hearing it in all the news, what's happening with the cooperative societies and all those scams where people are promising 50, 60, 70% return. And people fall to it. And this is where, again, I'm suggesting you invest in something that you understand. If not, learn, educate, get your head around. And if someone says, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. If tomorrow the world is going to end and if tomorrow we are going to die, then yes, boss, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. If not, I'm sure there are many, 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 many other opportunities that will pop up. And we are so fortunate to be living in a time in a country like India, where the economy will be booming for the next, it's already booming if you haven't realized. So there are many more opportunities. So please learn if you want to earn more. Okay. Which is best in life? Invest in property or pay EMI lifelong and suffer in early year for a fortune in old days, or go and pay the rent, enjoy life in young? Oh boy, you know, I'm not sure if I should give a philosophical or a spiritual or a logical reply to it. Well, Jai Kumar, this is something that you'll have to figure out. Because who am I to tell you how you should be enjoying life? Enjoyment for someone might be just going to the beach, relaxing. Enjoyment for someone might be going to Coimbatore, to Isha engineering programs. Enjoyment for someone is like going and partying and they don't know where they wake up the very next day. So it's very subjective. And this is exactly why I stay away from personal finance. I think Pooja has replied saying taking house loan is, oh no, how taking house loan is how much correct? See, it's not about right or wrong. It is about, again, how much of money you're going to borrow from insiders and outsiders. Now, people ask me, Chinmay, should I borrow more money from the bank or less money from the bank? Should I have more cash in the bank account or less cash in the bank account from business perspective? Now, it's like asking, is it good to have high blood pressure or low blood pressure? Should the sugar level be high or low? It should be balanced. So same thing, it has to be balanced. And that is exactly what every finance minister, every reserve bank, every pretty much economist is trying to suggest, making sure that we balance. Should we import more or should we export more? Well, somewhere it has to be balanced because we are heavily dependent on the US dollars. So again, it's all about balancing it. And again, for that, we need to understand where are we right now? As of now, what is my position? How much of debt can I really take on? And do I have a plan B or a plan C? Because if you're 1 + 1, if you're thinking it's going to be 2, and if it becomes -2 or -3, do you have it in you to get back up and keep moving forward? For that, you need to know your risk appetite. For many people, 50,000 rupees is their risk appetite. For many people, 50 lakhs is their risk appetite. Now, recently, just yesterday, I was speaking to one of my very good friend. They're big time into garments. He said, Chinmay, you know what, last 3 months, quarters, because of what's happening in the US and Europe, the slowdown in market, now I've lost 150 crores of orders. 150 crores of orders. But still, the business is continuing. That is their risk appetite. What is your risk appetite? I don't know. You'll have to figure it out. Muhammad has been saying, can you suggest any books to gain some basic knowledge to handle finance? I think I might have it here. Give me 1 second. But I'm still searching. Money book. Stories, you can do it. No. Or is it? Oh, yes. This is something that I read recently called The Money Book by Vivek Law. So he's the author. He was a finance journalist, has written many columns on finance. And again, now he was one of those person who had absolutely no idea about finance. And then he started getting his head around. So if you want to understand the basics of many of those investments and then what are the options that are available, then I would highly recommend you to read this book. Because as I said, my books, it's on business finance, which I would encourage you to read it at some stage. But this is a good book that I read recently called The Money Book by Vivek Law. Okay. Okay, I think that's the end of all the questions on the chat box, and it's already 1:06, Mr. Sandeep. So I will probably hand it over to you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chinmay. I must say that it was really indeed very crisp and clear that what we have to focus on and where we should look forward for. So as my message of this, which I have learned today is, let's start your small expenditure, which is day in, day out, what we are spending it, know your numbers. So that's my take, where the first thing which I would do is just, I will look back and say what's my numbers are, and then we'll proceed further. And I must say one thing, that, as you said, don't put your eggs in one basket. It is one of the, again, good book which I recently read, I would say, Intelligent Investor, which one of the best for the people who are willing to go ahead with the finances. So that's really nice. And indeed, I must say your session was really helpful. I must say that most of the participants, I must say that we started with about 120, 125, and almost we had about 160, 170 odd participants, and still 145 are still stick to it. So that's really a good number, I must say. So thank you so much for that. And I must express my gratitude towards you for taking out time from your busy schedule. And I also thank all the participants for joining in. So I'm sure this session has helped each one of us to understand more information on the finances. And I would like to extend my sincere thanks to Chinmay sir for being here, and all the beloved participants, students, associate, and the entire education fraternity for being here and making it resounding one. Just for your information, the certificates will be shared in the next couple of days to your email ID. I'm sure we'll just collect, Chinmay sir, the link from your team, so that we can just include that in the email before sharing the certificates to all the participants. And again, one more small announcement. Our next IRE talks is again on finance. That's the financial markets in 2023 by Mr. Kiran Bindu. So that's on 27th of December. So looking forward to see you all again, and kindly note, sir is also available online. You can connect him online. So he's very, very active in the social media as well. So look forward connecting you, sir, online, and at the same time, do follow us, this GIBS social media platform, so you stay updated with our upcoming IRE talk series and everything. Thank you so much, everyone, and it was really nice having you once again, sir. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me, Mr. Sandeep. See you then.
Have a great day ahead.